welcome to another journal with me. Today we are going to do an entry about visiting an animal sanctuary, and I received this pamphlet when we went there. So I knew today that I wanted to add photos and this pamphlet, and I wanted to do some journaling, but I thought I'm going to start running out of space and I didn't want to go over to the next page. So I've decided to do some of the journaling on this pamphlet, and to achieve that I am just using some black ink and covering up part of the pamphlet, the part that's not that interesting to me or that feels like not that important. I really want the map to show, which is on the other side. So you can use black paint as well if you don't have ink. I always just prefer the ink because it's got a very matte finish to it and it's very easy to journal on. With most of the acrylic paints, when it dries, it's got a bit of a plastic texture. That's the easiest I can explain it or compare it with, and that can be difficult to journal on, and it does kill a lot of pens. But if you do not have ink, you can definitely give the paint a go. I have done it before and it works. It just takes a bit more effort and patience to get your words down. This is just a brown paper bag that I'm using. It's slightly too big for the page, so I'm just measuring it and giving it a fold. It's not really a proper measure, I'm just eyeballing it. And instead of using a scissors to cut it to size, I've decided to use a ruler just to keep going with those crooked edges, and I really love that look of it. I'm making sure that I am also giving it a fold where it's going to go into the spine, just to make sure that I can work that paper right into it. And as soon as you put glue to this brown paper bag, it's very thin and it becomes crinkly, so I'm getting a lot of air bubbles, but I'm just rubbing it out and hoping for the best. I don't mind if there's a few crinkles here and there because I feel it brings some character to the page and texture, so I don't mind it too much, but I definitely don't want it to overtake the whole page. So I'm just using my fingers to get that out and a ruler to just make sure that everything's stuck down and it's secure and the page is folding very easily and it's not giving any trouble. I've printed most of my photos, or I've actually printed all these photos off my Canon Selfie. I tend to use the Canon Selfie mostly when I'm at home, and only the HP Sprocket when I'm traveling or I'm not at home and journaling. That's just something that I tend to do and that just works for me. And I have decided to stick all my photos on the left hand side because I want this brown paper bag to be the background, and then I'm going to add the pamphlet to the right hand side of the page. This is a transparent photo frame that I got from Kaisercraft. They had a mixed pack of them, so there's different borders and also different sizes in it. They were all so nice, it was really difficult to choose, but I just grabbed the first one here and I've added that. This little embellishment piece is also from a Kaisercraft pack, and with all of that I've just decided to use a staple to attach it to the page and just to give it that nice element. I knew that I wanted to add this playing card in with the bird design. I really like how it looks. I just didn't know if I wanted to turn it into a pocket or do a cluster. And in the end, I've decided to go for the cluster because I felt it just looked more complete. So I'm using just a doily, and then I'm going to add the card, the photo, and then I've got another Kaisercraft embellishment piece that I'm going to add. When it comes to adhesives, I tend to just follow my gut feeling on what to use, but I have noticed I've got a pattern. So with any papers, I tend to just use a glue stick. And when it comes to something like the photo or this playing card that I'm using, I use double-sided tape or a wet glue. It just depends what I've got on hand, what's the closest to me. And with thick cardstocks, cardboard, fabrics, lace, I always tend to use a wet glue, and the one that I'm always gravitating towards is a fabric glue because I feel that works very well with the fabric, of course, and the lace, and it also works just as well with the cardstock. Instead of having 4 or 5 different brands of glue like a PVA and a fabric and tacky glue and all those type of things, I always just tend to get fabric glue and use it for all those types of things. After the ink is dry, I am just going to be doing some doodles here with this white gel pen. It's a Uniball Signo, and it's not the broad tip, it's the thin one that I've decided to go for. I got some inspiration from Pinterest, just browsing around there, looking at different doodles, and I'm just grabbing bits and pieces from everything. I've decided to do florals and some leaves, and I'm also going to be adding my journaling on this page. When you are using a white gel pen on a platform like this, I would suggest thinking where you need to start working from so that you don't do any smudging, because that's happened to me so often. So that's why I've decided to start here at the bottom on the left corner and then work my way up to the right and then just up to the top. I think it would have also been good to start actually in the top left corner and work my way down, but I sort of didn't really want to start adding my words until I've done the doodles. That was just something that I had in mind. So that's why I first started at the bottom, but then I am giving it some time to dry in between before I did my journaling. So just be aware of that and make sure that you don't make those same mistakes that I've made plenty of times. But I mean, if it happens, it's really not the end of the world. But that's just a pointer that I would like to put out there, which I'm sure you have thought about before. But I still, even though I know it, I still do forget sometimes and get carried away. You get so engrossed in the whole process and that you're not really that patient or thinking of waiting for it to dry. And my doodles are not perfect at all, and there were bits and pieces where I thought, oh my gosh, what am I doing? I just want to like start over, let me paint over this and give it another go. But I just continued through, carried on, and in the end, when you've added all your elements and you've done your journaling, it really doesn't look as bad as what you thought it did, and it just becomes a whole complete piece, and you actually start loving those wonky lines and things like that. I'm using another part of that brown bag and I'm just adding it to the corner of this page. I'm also doing some stamps on there, and I'm going to be adding this cute brown postage stamp with birds on. It's one of my favorites that I've seen, and I've decided to use it in here because it just ties in so well with the theme and the color scheme. I still thought it just needed something there, so I'm using this floral washi just to brighten it a little bit up and add it to the top. It doesn't serve any purpose except just for it to look very decorative. I'm also going to use this measurement ribbon and just add some of it here and there. I end up going for that one there in the top corner, and I wanted it to go down next to the photo. And then I'm also going to use a small little piece right here at the bottom by the playing card and just adding that there to complete the page and bring different materials and textures. And I always love having just those different mediums, and I feel it just really brings a lot to the page, and your eye gets drawn to those things and you see those little details, and that is just something that I love to do, but I also don't want to overdo it. I'm trying to get that balance between putting things down but not overdoing it. But it's all up to what you want to achieve, your personality, what look you're going for. There's really no right or wrong, it's just what you prefer. I found these small buttons at a scrapbook store. They're so cute, and I have taken a blue one and I'm just adding it there with some glue. Then this is a ticket from a Tim Holtz ephemera pack, and I've just stapled that on the card, and I'm just doing small bits and pieces of journaling, and that is basically the whole page, how it came together. Thank you so much for watching the video. I hope you've enjoyed it, and if you've got any questions, just leave them down below and I'll try and get back to you as soon as I can. Have a great day. Bye.